of young age women, whether it's Democrats or Republicans. As someone who has a daughter, I want those people locked the hell up. We have a right to know if there are politicians and people in power who participated, who facilitated. Those people should be in prison. And so regardless of your views of MAGA world or Trump, at a minimum, I would say as a society, we don't want those people on the street.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to yesterday's news channel where we watch CNN so you don't have to. Last night, Shermichael Singleton, who we haven't seen for a while, joined the panel on NewsNight with Abby Phillip. No Scott Jennings? No problem. Shermichael Singleton held down the fort. The panel discussed MAGA's frustration with the Epstein case as well as Trump's tariffs and his trade strategy. Anyway, let's watch Shermichael Singleton keep it even-tempered while a rowdy bunch of liberals melt down over something. Just watch it. Let's go.
Elevating at gossip and not actually trying to address the issue.
But I have to say, it's not the Beltway press. It's these people, the Benny Johnsons and others of the world. Listen.
Right? This is absurd. Dan Bondi was talking about Epstein. Cash was talking about Epstein. Bongino was talking about Epstein. Elon Musk was talking about Epstein. Trump has been talking about Epstein. He started his presidential campaign in 2016 by linking the Clintons to Epstein.
She says that we don't need to hear about Jeffrey Epstein ever again. You know what this sounds like? I'm going to tell you exactly what this sounds like. Pam Bondi sounds like Hillary Clinton right now.
Pam Bondi went on television and said, I have a videotape of kids getting abused. Where are the rapists? Like, why aren't they in jail? What? This is the Department of Justice. Yeah. And I just think it's very dangerous to play around with this stuff. Like, very dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can't be surprised when you know, the face-eating leopard is going to eat faces.
Yeah, I think Pam Bondi,
you cannot be surprised when you feed and nurture that, and then it comes back to bite you.
I mean, but bigger than that, we know that Epstein recorded everything, at least from what we've seen in reports. And you're talking about child exploitation. You're talking about abuse of young girls, of young age women. Whether it's Democrats or Republicans, as someone who has a daughter, I want those people locked the hell up. We have a right to know if there are politicians and people in power who participated, who facilitated. Those people should be in prison. And so regardless of your views of MAGA world or Trump, at a minimum, I would say as a society, we don't want those people on the streets. I mean, I want to remind people.
I totally agree.
If you guys recall, what, a year or two ago, you think about Bill Gates and his former wife, and she was asked about why she divorced him. And one of the reasons listed was because her former husband was hanging out with this guy, and she never understood why. And so why should powerful, wealthy people, whether it's in politics or business, be absolved of being held accountable? I don't agree with that at all.
I don't think anybody's suggesting that.
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying we should know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So I don't know if you heard it at the beginning of that segment. Tiffany Cross casually referred to the Epstein list as gossip. Gossip. Is she an actual insane person? We've known about the Epstein list for years. We know children's lives were destroyed. And now because people like Benny Johnson or Tucker Carlson are the ones asking questions, it's just gossip. It's just a MAGA obsession. I don't care who's asking the questions. When the subject is child trafficking, rape, and systematic abuse by the most powerful people on earth, you don't get to wave it off as partisan noise. I apologize, I don't think I left this part in, but at one point Abby said something like, well, I don't want to talk about Epstein, but MAGA does. Why wouldn't you want to talk about Epstein? Why wouldn't you want to talk about it on a national platform? If there's evil to be exposed, why wouldn't you want to help lead the charge? Well, as I watched the whole segment, painfully, I might add, that flippant attitude kind of stuck with me. Even when they said things that sounded serious, it just didn't feel serious. It felt like performance. And look, honestly, I want to be fair. Maybe that's my bias talking. Maybe I just take this more seriously than they do. But this feeling I had that this was all just kind of a political inconvenience to them was impossible to ignore. It was kind of gross. I hope I'm wrong. Anyway, back to it.
Going about trying to accomplish it with a chaotic, wild, sort of unpredictable, an unpredictable system. So
your point about the theatrics of it all may be the most important part, because the markets are like, okay, sure, whatever. Like
they don't believe him.
They don't believe
the
anything.
market's factoring it in now. The bond market's around 4.24%. The last I checked, we've recovered what, $10 trillion, I believe, in the past several weeks, according to the street. It's factoring this in, and I think the expectation is a baseline 5-10% reciprocal tariff. That's the expectation. I think some of these higher numbers, if you talk to most analysts, they would probably say, we're looking at this as more of a negotiating strategy or tactic. I was just in London a week ago doing business, talked to a lot of business people. They're looking at this and they're thinking, yeah, we don't really think that this is going to seriously impact our willingness to invest in the United States. And I think many others, investors around the globe, will probably see it the same way, which is why the market has been persistently strong.
Because everybody knows he talks.
No, I agree that some of this is a bit crazy, but at the same time, there's so many scare headlines. You know, when Liberation Day, what Trump calls it, April 2nd, you know, the markets dropped. You got all these scare headlines, you know, all these billionaires lost all this money. And then, of course, you know, a few months later, it's all back.
Well, wait a second. Well, again, I have to say, we have to remember, when people say it's back, it's not because Trump actually carried out his threat. It's because he did not.
No, he lost all
It's
credibility.
because he did not.
But with the Chinese, we're seeing movement in the right direction. With Vietnam, we're seeing movement in the right direction. Tariffs on Japan and South Korea as it pertains to car manufacturing is a good thing. Look at Carvana stock, look at Ford, GMC, the other major car manufacturers in the United States. That's a good thing for their bottom line, for anyone who understands the market. So there have been some goodness out of this.
What right direction are we moving in with China? I'm sorry, there were no ships coming into the port of Los Angeles.
Well, even the Chinese have acknowledged that they're moving in the right direction in terms of trade negotiations.
Wake me up again when we actually have a deal, as I said earlier. But the problem is we had all of this material not coming into this country, to the West Coast, for a really long time after Liberation Day. Wake me up again when you go shopping for back to school in September and you see those prices go up. Let me know what's going to happen on Christmas when people who are supposed to be filling those supplies were not filling them because of Liberation Day.
I'm skeptical about that. I'm very skeptical about that.
And obviously,
If you've been watching this channel for any amount of time, I'm sure you remember when Trump introduced the tariffs this year. The entire media industrial complex lost its mind. They told us it'd be Smoot Hawley all over again, that we'd see runaway inflation, recession, maybe even a market collapse. CBS warned of stagflation. Goldman Sachs said GDP would tank below 1%. The Wharton budget model claimed that middle-class families would lose $22,000 over time. Even hedge fund managers were on cable news calling an economic nuclear war. But here's what actually happened. The U.S. pulled in over $5.3 billion in new tariff revenue without taxing everyday Americans. Chinese EV imports fell 41%. We just saw $4.7 billion in new factory investments and a 9% jump in manufacturing job demand, all in the first half of the year, including new energy and manufacturing partnerships with Vietnam and Latin America. So no, the economy didn't collapse. The sky didn't fall. And once again, the media was wrong because they never cared about trade. They just hated that Trump was the one fixing it. But what do you guys think? Was the media's panic over tariffs just about hating Trump? Or did they really think the sky was going to fall? And why do you think so many on the left want to ignore the Epstein story entirely? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, that's it for this video. I just want you guys to know I'm going to start posting the NewsNight videos from the prior night first thing in the morning. So my videos will hopefully be some of the first ones from the previous day's NewsNight. And of course, don't forget, coming soon, state of the channel video. Look out for it. Otherwise, as always, thank you so much for taking a couple minutes out of your day to watch my video. It means a lot to me. Never forget, Jesus loves you. See you guys.